The following is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I don't know how many of you guys saw that trailer in my previous community post, so I thought I'd bring that up. That story will be in honor of Chadwick Boseman. Enjoy the rest of the video. Welcome, Deadites. Been a minute since. Welcome to part 2 of What If Kaiju Attacked MHA. A few years have passed, and Izuku has seen plenty of action as a Jaeger pilot. His identity was a well-kept secret, and he was able to enjoy school as a child to a point. For a few years at least. I'll start you off at Inko's club. I say her club, but she's just the star of the show, not the owner. As Izuku made his way into the front door, there stood the owner of the joint with 2 drinks in hand. She hands Izuku a drink and giddily kisses him on the cheek.
It's good to see you. Inko is going to be ecstatic. That girl's going to make me so much money tonight.
Nana was quite excited at the concept. You heard me right. Nana Shimura is alive and kicking, and still had one for all at one point, but she wasn't drift compatible, so she was never really in a Jaeger. Both her and Toshinori have been aged down for this, by the way. Toshinori is in his young 30s, and if that, really. And Nana is pushing close to 45, if that. Now, as far as All For One goes, considering Kaiju, I'd think he'd have bigger fish to fry, if he was alive at that point. But back to the point, I suppose. I've been bearing the lead long enough. Nana handed Izuku a glass of champagne. I don't care what you do with her, she would in no way hand a minor alcohol, under normal circumstances. I don't know if many of you have ever played D&D, but in it there is a race that I'm certain a good majority of you have heard in some way, shape, or form, and they're usually green, though. That's right. I'm talking about orcs. Fun fact about orcs. They're fully grown by around 12, and yes, this is the same in Izuku's case. Katsuki was crestfallen when Izuku just suddenly disappeared a few years ago, but it had to happen. He just disappeared for his study abroad due to his quirk, which essentially, no, not even essentially, Izuku is a kaiju due to his quirk, but not the kind that are being controlled by the precursors. Thank all that is holy. Izuku looks like he's about 24 to 26 years old and just walked in like he owned the place. He's well enough known that no one's gonna stop to ID check him. Hey Nana, how long until she starts? I've had a bit of a rough time with my last assignment, and seeing her would do me a world of good. Nana chuckles. You're in luck, sonny boy. She's next. Now get your tush in your seat and just relax with me until she steals the show, like she always does. Nana lays her head on Izuku's arm as she grabs it and walks to a seat that was reserved for his private use. Nana continues to flirt with Izuku and pours him more champagne.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the belle of the ball, the starlet harlot, Giant Ass.
So, I should probably explain that show name, but I will do that in a moment. Inko sauntered over to the stage and did her thing. Since I don't feel like getting flagged, I won't go into too much detail on how, but she rocked the joint. But the matter of the fact is, she did in fact rock the joint. However, when she saw Izuku, her eyes began to glow a faint greenish blue, as her reptilian eyes came into full glory. That's right, Inko is just like Izuku. Inko was there for Izuku when he woke up an adult and explained everything. They aged normally for about 11 years, but when they hit 12, they hyper-aged to about 24-ish, and all aging ceases to a point. But that begs one question. How old is this woman? You may never know, Deadites. She can't become as big as him, but it ain't by much. Inko did her best to stay out of the limelight, which is odd enough considering what she does now. But yeah, that's for later. When she finishes her dance, she immediately is accosted by her fans, but she has an Izuku to go to. When she gets within her sight, she gets rather irritated. What lays within her vision was Nana giving him quite the intimate dance. Inko completely crushes a bottle of wine in her irritation.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, dear. I'll give you a lovely time later, okay?
That particular John melted at her words. Inko was quite good at enticing people. After all, the John was worried for her, but Inko quickly took care of that.
My skin is tougher than it looks, dear. Now, have fun.
No one else approached Inko. They could see the aura of intensity coming from her. While it was merely a lap dance, in Inko's eyes, the two may as well have just gone to one of the rooms upstairs. That's right, this is one of those joints. It's legal here in this world, so it is, but it is classier by far than what she had once worked at. Inko's scales were getting more and more pronounced as she got closer.
Ahem! I do believe you have something of mine there, Nana.
Nana giggled as Izuku whimpered as she got off of him.
Oh, relax. I'll give you your son back.
Nana whispered that last part. As she was leaving, Izuku grabbed Nana and gave her a look of pure want. The exact opposite of what Inko was giving her. At this moment, Nana chose to float on out of there. Inko pressed a button and an opaque glass surrounded the lounging area before it began to recess into the ground. And the two vanished. Inko had a lair beneath the club, and that's where they had gone to. Inko inhaled and blew fire all over Izuku. Inko, what in the world? Inko starts to pout.
I'm making you clean.
Izuku sighed a slight defeat. While he wanted a moment with Nana, he'd take the clingy Inko any day. The two got even more reptilian and just balled up together for a bit. I swear, you've gotten even more possessive of me. I don't even want to imagine what you were like when I was an egg. Yes, you heard that right. These two are technically human and kaiju, but they're more monster than human. Quirks can cause all kinds of things, and in this instance, this is what you get. But enough of them. Let's get to a different team, since it's Izuku's and Toshinori's day off. I would like to introduce you to the pilots of the three-man Jaeger known as Chimera. The pilots are as follows. Tenko Shimura, Toya Todoroki, and the last one, Himiko Toga. They've been training for this for some time, and we're glad to be in their Jaeger. Tenko's decay would get rid of obstacles. I racked my brain and couldn't remember Dobby's quirk being named, and then I looked for the name online, and all I could find was an unofficial name, which I shall be using. Cremation. I don't think I need to go into detail what that brings to the table. Now, the interesting part is Miss Toga's quirk. Transform will allow the Chimera to better adapt by utilizing the spilled Kaiju blood to shape its form to a point. The one calling the shots on the field is Tenko, but their coordinator is Kurogiri. He utilizes drones to scout the area and give tactical assistance from the base. He can even portal them out of Chimera if need be, like an emergency escape. Himiko was looking left and right as if on a mission. If you're looking for All Might's partner, then you won't find him by looking for him here. I hear he frequents a place in the high entertainment district called Cloud 9. Too bad you're not old enough to get in just yet. In this world, legality will stop these three. So Himiko pouted a bit. Now, it wouldn't be that much longer. She's 17 and her birthday is like tomorrow. So, yeah. Himiko pouted a bit, but damn if she did not look amazing in her suit.
Well, that sucks. I had so much I wanted to ask him. And
I may have been a little curious as to what his blood was like.
Her partners didn't even need to hear that to know what she had just thought, or more accurately, they were putting that last bit in her mouth for her, and they cringed inwardly at that thought. Toshinori bumped into the team currently on duty. Ah, if it isn't Team Chimera. I'm glad that you're all eager and ready, but try not to overthink it. Sometimes instinct is what works best when on the field. Toshinori noticed the look on Himiko's face. Is everything all right, Miss Toga? Himiko got close to Toshinori and leaned in.
I was hoping to see Izuku, but I guess he's busy at Cloud 9 fawning over his pretty girls.
Yes, Himiko knows Izuku's identity. Remember the "isn't it pretty" scene? Well, her parents had the "why can't you be normal" shout. Izuku heard it and found a crying little Himiko. I'm taking liberties since we weren't given an exact age, so this will happen a little to a lot later in her life. There's a whole nother beast to worry about, and now, anyways. Miss Toga was about 13 when this happened, and before her mother could strike her, an 8-foot-tall monster grabbed her hand.
There will be none of that, Mrs. Toga. Himiko-chan, I have come today to tell you that you are drift compatible, and have come to take you to the academy, like we've discussed. I assume you have your bag ready.
Himiko nods her head. To be clear, Izuku is currently an 8-foot-tall Godzilla, to show that he is not pleased with the Toga brand of parenting. He had been conversing with Himiko for about a month, and she mentioned the quirk reformation program. He got pissed off and made his way to her home. Procedure be damned. Himiko grabbed her bag and hopped onto the back of her scaly savior.
Thank you, Mr. Godzilla.
When they were quite out of earshot,
My name is Izuku. Now, let's get you to your new home. If you don't want to go back here, you never will.
when they arrived at the base, Himiko's room wasn't quite ready, so they chilled in his room. Izuku had chosen to shrink to his actual size but keep his scales up. I can't believe a parent would tell their child to be ashamed of their quirk. That's horrible.
And this is coming from me. My quirk makes me a frackin' kaiju, for goodness sakes. You're actually kinda cute looking at you. If you can tone down your attraction to blood, that would be wise, but don't ever let anyone make you feel shame for your quirk. Do you hear me?
Himiko heard him. She had the biggest smile on her face. She had been partially clued in on one of the world's biggest secrets, and she would keep it to herself. She had a friend that accepted her for what she was, and she liked it. Back to the main story, yeah? Himiko was smiling from ear to ear when Toshinori said he'd be back in time for her birthday. She would be turning 18 in a few hours, and Izuku had never missed a single one of her birthdays. She was happy that she'd get to spend the day with people she cared about. While she may resent her parents, they're still her parents, so she sees them from time to time, but never alone. She'd kill them if she was left alone with them, and that was no lie. Izuku might as do the exact same thing, so yeah. The day itself was rather dull, and quite frankly, a good first day to have on the job. No action necessary from them. Izuku escorted Inko home. Not like she needed it or anything. Inko was happily walking next to Izuku whilst resting her head on his shoulder. It was at this point that something he had been avoiding for 2 years had come to his face. Katsuki Bakugo. To be clear, it's about noon on a Sunday now. So school? Nope.
Hey, Auntie Inko.
She took one look at Izuku, and it didn't register.
So this must be your husband, huh?
Izuku took the cue and rolled with it.
Hisashi Midoriya. You must be Little Miss Ka-chan, as my boy used to put it.
Inko was looking at Izuku oddly. She was giving him the "what are you doing" look. At Izuku's behest, they were both in all black, and little to Inko's knowledge. He had prepared something in their home. Izuku had been using the name Hisashi since he grew, so this had to be done. Katsuki and Mitsuki Bakugo, would you please come with us?
You're family as far as I'm concerned.
It finally clicked in Inko's head, and she let a forlorn look grasp her as she entered her home. Tears dropped from her face, and Hisashi's face as well. The Bakugos were wondering what was wrong and growing in concern with each step. As soon as they reached the corner, it clicked in Mitsuki's head, and once she smelled the incense, Katsuki got it as well.
No! Why couldn't it have been you? Why'd Izuku have to go?
Hisashi was holding on to Katsuki, patting her head and cooing her while crying honest tears. She was beating him attempting to beat the hell out of him. To be clear, Izuku went to the other end of the Pacific for a study abroad. Around this time, Hisashi became the pilot of Gypsy with All Might. And that's what they were led to believe, at least. Remember, most of this is hush-hush, so close family were the only ones that knew. Hisashi had been laying down the footwork for this, and the kaiju attack in the area he had been supposedly studying in was perfect. The actual Hisashi Midoriya had been dead for quite some time, but as far as what he died of, that's a tale for later. All the papers were legit, due to his connections. Everyone at the base that knew the truth was saddened but knew this needed to happen for his friends to move on, and hopefully Katsuki would do just that. But for that to happen, Hisashi must be resolute in his behavior. Tears were had, drinks were had as well. Mitsuki allowed her daughter to have at least one glass of sake, considering what's going on. As for the looks, it helps that his hair changed to whitish green, so even that added to the deception that he'd be telling for the rest of his life. Of course, he covered a base concerning Miss Toga. She knew that he'd be taking on the name of Hisashi, and so did May. He came out as All Might's partner years ago, and the move, like I said, for Izuku was made. The secrecy was due to his quirk and covering bases to keep Izuku quote-unquote safe. Katsuki set off an explosion to which Hisashi took. However, he had scaled up for it. If you want to hate me, go on ahead, Katsuki-chan. Is there anything else you need before I get back to work, dear? Hisashi brought Inko close and kissed her on the forehead. No, love. Keep us safe, okay? Inko kissed her before he left, and once the door was closed and he was out of earshot, she bawled her eyes out for the sake of the company she had with her. They bought it. The least that useless man could do is stay with his wife. Katsuki was slapped by her mother. Look here, Katsuki. You, of all people, should know the importance of his job. Not only is he a Jaeger pilot, but he's Godzilla. So he can aid us twice over. Katsuki wanted to blame Hisashi for Izuku's death, but the information was clear. Izuku went down like a hero. He wouldn't be as big as his father or mother, or so the lie was made. I don't think I need to tell MHA fans how exceedingly rare it is for non-relatives to have either the same quirk or essentially the same quirk, but Inko and Hisashi were such a case. Katsuki joined Inko, and soon so did Mitsuki. Hisashi returned to the PPDC with a sullen look on his face. Midnight was standing there waiting in his room. I take it you finally did it, huh? Hisashi got down on his knees, grabbed her waist, and started bawling. It's okay. It had to be done. Now let it out. Just don't roar, okay? He buried himself in her bosom, and she continued to comfort him by patting and kissing his head. Namuri, it hurts. Namuri sighed. I know, dear. I know. I won't say it'll get easier, but you were ready for this. You know it was coming, but that doesn't make it hurt any less, now does it? And we're gonna end it on that sad note.
If you liked that, let's get a United States smash on that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider going full howling with that subscribe button. And let's go plus ultra with the notifications. Ring that bell, baby. Rest easy, Deadites. And remember, the night is ours.